After hanging up, it was already daylight. I didn't go back to sleep. Instead, I drove straight to South Dock. It was a 3-hour drive and I didn't stop once. By the time I got to South Dock, it was 10 a.m. Tom was already waiting for me. Beside him was a refrigerated truck packed with freshly unloaded seafood. Tom took me to check the goods. This batch was fresh leopard coral grouper and hairy crabs just off the boat. They weren't top-size, but they were extremely fresh. The gills were still bright red and the crab legs were strong. I made the call on the spot and took it all. I wired the $180,000 payment right there. Tom looked at the payment notification and patted me on the shoulder. Tom said, "Jack, you've got guts. Someone like your uncle is bound to fall sooner or later. From now on, you get first pick of my goods." I talked with Tom for a long time. He said South Dock had only been developed recently, and many local wholesalers didn't know about this route yet. The supply here was stable, the prices were 10% lower than up north, and the boat captains were honest people. No shady games. That gave me confidence. My uncle thought he could trap me by controlling the local docks, but he had no idea how big the sea really was. There wasn't just one dock. I drove the fully loaded refrigerated truck back to the market. Mike was already waiting by the cold storage door. The second he saw the truck, his eyes lit up. We unloaded, sorted, and iced everything overnight. This batch of grouper and hairy crabs didn't look top grade, but they were fresh, and the price was still 5% below the market rate. I called a few regular clients. After checking the goods, they placed orders on the spot. By 10 p.m. that night, more than half the batch was gone, bringing back $150,000 in cash. Early the next morning, I drove to South Dock again. This time, Tom introduced me to 2 other boat captains. They ran offshore routes, so their supply was even more stable. I talked with them about working together. I promised that as long as the quality passed, I would pay cash on delivery and never delay payment. The 3 boat captains discussed it, then finally agreed. One of them, Bob, spoke up. Bob said, "Jack, you're young, but you've got the guts to build something on your own. That takes nerve. We people who go out to sea care most about trust. As long as you keep paying cash on delivery, our goods go to you first." I shook hands with each of them, and the weight in my chest finally lifted. On the way back to the city, I got a call from Mike. Mike said, "Your uncle came by the cold storage several times today. When he saw us unloading, his face looked awful. A few small buyers also came asking where our goods came from and why our prices were lower than the market." I hung up and looked at the scenery flying past outside the window. My uncle thought raising local supply prices would force me out, but the harder he blocked me, the wider my road became. Once the South Dock supply stabilized, my cost would be 10% lower than his, and the price advantage would show immediately. By then, I wouldn't be the one trapped. After the South Dock supply stabilized, my cold storage business started picking up. For a full week, I left for South Dock every day at 3 a.m. to pick up goods. I was always back at the market before 10 a.m. The goods were fresh and 10% cheaper than local supply. Once the small buyers tasted the benefits, orders kept growing. On the 10th day, Tom called and said he wanted to discuss something with me. That afternoon, I drove over. Tom took me to a food stall near the dock. He ordered a few dishes and poured 2 glasses of liquor. Tom got straight to the point. "Jack, I think you're reliable. I want to sign an exclusive supply agreement with you." I put down my chopsticks and looked at him. Tom said, "There are 5 boats running out of South Dock right now. Me, Bob, and David make up half of the total supply." Tom went on, "From what we've seen, you always pay cash on delivery, you know how to inspect goods, and you never nitpick. We talked it over and are willing to give you priority supply." Tom continued, "But there's one condition. You have to guarantee at least $200,000 in goods every week, and we'll give you prices 5% lower than everyone else." I did the math. $200,000 a week was no small pressure for me right now. But if I could get the exclusive supply rights, it would mean holding the lifeline of the supply chain. My uncle was raising prices and blocking me at the local docks, while I was getting the lowest prices at South Dock. With that gap, my advantage would show right away. I shook hands with Tom and we signed the agreement on the spot. The term was 3 months. I guaranteed $200,000 in goods every week, and they guaranteed stable supply at the best price.